Start. What's up, everybody? Coming back at you. It's Luke, just hanging out right now in the room. Constant setup, very chill, very, very chill. Obviously, I got some things I gotta do. Obviously, I found it more important to talk about a couple things. So, like I said, we've been away from YouTube and all content for a couple years because I was focusing on some things that needed to get done. I was running a little behind in life at a certain point there, so I had to take evasive maneuver, super action, super doer kind of energy, and get a lot of things done. Get a lot of things done in the real free world. But now I have pretty much all the resources and capability to do this, which is fun. So we're just going to talk a little bit about mental framing, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to reprogram the mind, where to start, why you'd want to do it, what's kind of going on in general that probably makes you want to think about your your life. And let's get started. So one thing that is pretty common with, I think, a lot of us is that we are kind of stuck in trajectory or thought loops that we can't break out of, whether it's the sugar or the girlfriend or the job. Um, it's constant state of I want more, I see more is possible, but I don't know how to attain it because something in my mind won't let me. So that's kind of like the breeding ground for greatness is you want to do better and you see it in yourself to do better, but the mind, it just isn't ready. Why isn't it ready? Well, I believe that there is a lot of things that need to be done in order to show the world or the universe or any kind of power that might be watching you that's greater than you where to go. It knows maybe you have different fantasies of where you want to go, but you have those all the time. So we have to make a clear, direct message. How do we tell the universe a clear, direct message? We write it down. You write down everything you want, clear, and there is no limit. For me, I had written down at a certain point, like, I want this car, I want to make this much money a year, I want this, that, the third, right? And I did it hesitantly because I didn't believe that it would actually work at all. I didn't believe that I was even capable of making the amount of money that I had wrote down. I thought that it was beyond my capability, which I didn't understand that that was my brain being wired wrong. That was my self worth coming through. It had nothing to do with the financial number. It has nothing to do with the amount of zeros after a comma. It all has to do with the value you put on yourself. That is all it is. You determine how much you're worth to the world. So at the time, I had pretty much decided that I was kind of worth like a couple like this much money, right? I was worth only a little handful, and I wrote that down. And within 6 months, my life had taken such an adventurous turn that I was in the right places with the right people that led me to different rooms with people that were willing to give me this much for my worth. And so I did that for a while. I did that long enough to where my brain started to believe again that we were worth that much, and that was enough to rewire the portion that didn't believe and got it to start believing. And that's where things took a turn. From that belief place, I was able to say, maybe this is not even enough for me. And to be fair, I mean, it's not. It's just not. The power of my dollar is the power of my life, my willpower. It's what I can do to make the world move. I give you 10 to go do this. I moved the world. I moved the entire world with my dollars, which starts in the mind. So my mind decided I was worth a little bit more, and that's when I was able to get to a place where I made like this much dollars. And this much dollars made me feel so good that the next set of challenges arose. All of the reprogramming that is needed to happen in order to get through a phase or a stage will happen right after the you're given the plot, you're given the goal, you're given the gold, you're given the girl, however it looks for you. So for me, it was the girls, plural. It was the life. It was the nights out. It was the fun, the party, the chase. That became something, you know, this can get you through any party, any Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. There's no more fear incorporated financially, at least. There are different lessons that must be learned in other aspects, fear of approach, fear of having fun, fear of whatever, talking and meeting new people, however it looks. But at least you're good. You got 20 bucks entry fee no matter where you go at all times. The parking, it's good. The tab, keep it open. It's okay. So I did that for a while until I realized that I was pretty much telling the universe, like, I'm good here. I will stay like this. Staying like that was probably going to kill me quicker than I really wanted to. I, not even maybe physically, but it was going to kill my spirit because there's no purpose or drive associated with that. And to be fair, that amount was just enough to keep things afloat. I could improve my life. I could slightly improve my wardrobe. I could even improve my vehicle. But one thing I could not improve was other people's lives, at least from a financial standpoint. I could do certain things to facilitate a fun situation, but I couldn't say, "Here you go, mom, take off this month. This is all covered." Right? And for me, that was important. So a deeper rewiring had to take place. I had to stop doing all of the things that I knew were actually just taking my energy. Your money is what they give you in trade for the time, and your time is the only thing you are born with that you have innately to give. So when you think of your money, you could think of your time. What are you worth? So I had to go back in and relearn pretty much everything from the start again. Why am I attached to a certain amount of dollars? And when I don't see it in the account, why am I filled with fear? Why am I filled with negative emotion? Why do I get sad when I have little, happy when I get a lot? That's because I'm determining my value based on a financial standpoint. And also, I'm kind of telling the universe that I don't trust you because every time I have a little, I get a little afraid that that's all we'll ever have. How to rewire. The rewiring started when I started my disciplines. It is a hard turn, but the journal has to get active. Sitting with yourself has to get active. The porn, the masturbation, the constant infatuation or lusting over the girl there, the girl there, the Instagram scrolling, that all has to go. When it does go, you start to glow. And when you start to glow, you can start actually rewiring your brain. It's going to be long nights. There's going to be nights where you stare at the ceiling and remember the conversation from high school that changed the direction your life was going, or the stupid things that were done. And these are visions that are actually the rewiring taking place. Is your brain is now going through and sifting all of the B-roll footage out that it no longer needs because it's no longer going to be part of the backstory to your character. You're completely changing. You're changing your entire approach and philosophy to life. When you remove these things, your brain starves, and when you don't feed it long enough, it dies. That's the first step. The second step was a little bit harder, um, because there has to be an admission that takes place that says, I care about my body like I would care about somebody I truly love. How does that take place? So it could be simple, like basic hygiene, self care, but we had to take it to the next level because we wanted next level results. I can tell you that I had a moment where I was at this IV drip where they, administer different nutrients and vitamins through an IV right into your bloodstream, and boom, there you are, you're back. I remember I saw the bill after one of these infusions, and I was still in I had this guy's money, but I had this guy's mindset. And so I saw the bill and my stomach sank. And somebody that's living in abundance, their stomach don't sink. They don't even really look at the bill. I sat with that after it happened months later, and I came to realize that it was my own fear and insecurity that led me to believe that spending whatever, I think it was $600, spending $600 on a vitamin drip for my body was better than the $600 I would inevitably spend going out and chasing another one. Tight realization, nice way to flip the cognitive dissonance around self care. I could no longer lie. I could no longer admit I was worthless to myself, and I always was able to spend all of any money I had on pleasures. But when it came to something that was a foundational piece of discipline and self care, I had instant walls of fear, pain, and things that came out in the form of aggression and just I was mad. I was upset when I saw that bill. I called my buddy like, what the is this, man? You told me to do this thing, and he's kind of like, yeah, man, this is what it takes. Which leads me to like the next thought. You you have to go in before you have to go in before all in to your new life before your internal wiring catches up. You see, your nervous system is only going to be rewired in the trueness of the act. It's not going to necessarily happen all the time in your journal or in your bed if you've been stagnant and inside video gaming all day. It has yet to be inside of the different zones or the different conditions that would even stimulate it to a certain degree. So I had to go out and step into those bills before I could actually be the guy that didn't look at the bill. Um, it had to come first, and the money is what it followed. So that as I grew in that experience, I started to rewire even more heavily through long bouts of like discipline. I mean, like straight up, we're counting calories. You know what I mean? We're doing push-ups. We're at the gym. We're doing sauna. We're doing everything. But like probably sleep was the number one thing that took a dive at this area. But we're doing the journaling. We're doing the guided meditative kind of visualization. Anything. If you say this can work to make you better, make you show up better. If I could show up better for me and the people around me, I want to do it. That is willingness, and willingness, faith without work. Faith, willingness. The willingness is all the universe really needs sometimes to say, this guy is, he wants it. Let's go. Let's give it to him. It's just the path that blinds you from the end. That's it. When you are willing because you decided that's where you want to be, it, the path in between, that's the fun, because that's when you can't see it. You can't see it yet. You don't know that you're the guy that'll be this. You know, you're that guy now, but you're still, you know, you can only remember this. This is your last reference point. You're now in the unknown, and at the other end of the unknown, you get that. But that rewiring phase, man, it's beautiful. So that led me to kind of where I'm at now, which is health and wellness. Health and wellness is what we do. I have videos coming out very soon, describing some of like our upcoming companies, current companies, stuff that we do. That's amazing. It just is. It's purely amazing. I think that things like self-care, things like exercise, a healthy diet, and the new rise of peptides coming up are fundamental in the redevelopment of people like me, like you, who have lived rough, for lack of better terms. We rode the edge of the blade, and there's some scars there that don't know how to heal because the brain is deprived of things that it needs. So that is kind of where I was hoping to talk about this stuff, and I'm glad that I did, because that leads me, like I said, to like where we're at now with that redevelopment. After the behaviors changed, there was still this like aspect of mental just blockages, just like uh, slow thinking, repressed kind of like memories, bad coordination signaling, losing track of thoughts, like conversating, like just things that come with getting older, but like the enhanced version, because we used to party, we used to live life like it wasn't, you know, no tomorrow. And here we are at tomorrow. So we have to regrow and retrain different areas of the brain. How do we do that? Now, Eddie Mora in the movie Limitless was able to stumble into a pill that could make him all better. Not just all better, probably the most enhanced version of himself possible. Um, or just the best version of himself that he never had access to, because we jump into the movie Limitless at the point where he's a pretty much failing writer who's kind of getting rejected now by his girlfriend, and not full blown alcoholic, but definitely chasing down some, you know, hard trodden self doubt that this is ever going to pan out into the great Tolkien esque visionary experience of being a writer. So you kind of jump into the movie there, but maybe what the movie is really trying to tell you is that this pill removes and regrows all the parts of Eddie's brain that he never nurtured throughout his life trajectory. And if those parts are properly nurtured, this is what the brain could have fully developed into, hence the NZT version of himself. Now, I don't know how true that is, because it's a movie at the end of the day. And if they do have NZT, they're not going to release it to us unless it escapes somehow from some Epstein file somewhere. Um, they're not going to be willing to share with us dumb people something that makes us smarter, because if we were just a little bit smarter, we would not stand for this form of culture. Um, but I don't know. I don't even know if they're that smart. So I'm not even smart enough to know to do that. So, peptides, regrow the brain. Let's talk about it. First things on the list. One of the things that I use every day now is alpha GPC. Now, this is a 50% version. It is highly bioavailable choline source. It increases acetylcholine, which is good for memory, learning, and focus. That's the primary benefits are memory formation and recall, mental clarity, and focus. It's often used to support racetams. Um, so yes, we use this. We do. I think this is a 60-day run. This is not medical advice. I'm simply sharing a regiment that we are experimenting with. Next up on the list is aniracetam. So alpha GPC does really well with the racetams. So what we have here is a fat soluble racetam, a modulative AMPA glutamate signaling um, racetam here. Primary benefits for this are the mood and anxiety reduction, creativity, verbal fluency, social confidence, mild memory enhancement. So we're kind of double hitting that memory sector. Um, it's often described as a mood racetam, and it works best with dietary fat. So this one has a very short half life, so you could do multiple doses throughout the day. Um, it really can change your life. Oxyracetam. So that's the second racetam now that's being introduced, and this one is a stimulating racetam. It enhances uh, cholinergic and glutaminergic activity. Its primary benefits are logical thinking, focus, mental energy, learning, speed, and working memory. So we're hitting that memory sector like very, very well from multiple different directions. This one is kind of known as a clean energy versus aniracetam's mood lift. Um, this one's often used for study and technical work. So again, a it is a shorter half life, so you could do multiple. And then the last racetam is the phenylpiracetam hydroside, and the phenolate racetam here is a derivative. It's very potent, so there's like very little amount in here. Um, this one is not really used every day for us. The others are in every day, and I believe we're doing 60-day cycles, 60 on, 60 off. The phenyl hydrazide is not used every day. It's used mainly like once or twice a week, beginning and end, because it's very strong stimulation, motivation, and drive, physical, mental endurance. There's a historically studied aspect of cold resistance that comes with this one, and tolerance builds fast. So, we limit that one. This was fundamental because in order to get this to grow exponentially, you have to do exponential things inside your brain. You must scale. You must scale the working knowledge inside of yourself. You need to have access and better cognition all around. That's what we're doing now. We are going for the enhanced version of our life, the best version of our lives, and we're going to fix it from the inside out, because a main concern with our society today is that I got BPA's and carcinogenic food dye and things in the air, polyester everywhere. Who knows the amount of neurotoxic uh, neurotoxic stuff that's being engaged with us all the time. It's just wreaking havoc on us. Not to mention the cell phone and the TikTok and the Instagram reels and the highly addictive nature of those. I wouldn't even get into that because we all know that that's the easy one. That's the one in our face. That's the heroin addiction. That's the one you can't ignore. But there are the subtle ones out there by the thousand that are not good. So we are fighting this battle from the inside out, not the outside in. We're not pointing fingers about who and what in the government or the world has, got to change in order for things to get better. We're simply going, the computer inside my head, between my ears, is probably been hacked and has Trojan horses, and the CPU's burnt out, and everything needs to be upgraded. Here, take this SSD card that's been, curated and put together by you and you know, your knowledge base, your resources online that could show you how to build the proper regiment, and start getting these peptides involved in your life. Start changing yourself at a mitochondrial level. Let's reinvent what we do with these, like, proteins of our life. Let's start the building blocks of neurogenesis. That's how we do much better. That is how we complete the rewiring. The behaviors, check. The actions in life, and the feedback loops of you're improving, check. Getting jacked, yes. Food's on point, correct. Relationships buzzing, correct. How about that brain, man? Gotta take care of it, dude. So, I'm not gonna run this video any longer because it's already been 26 minutes, and your life is worth so much. So much. Every minute of it. Every minute of it is just like this. So I will let you get to it. If anybody has any questions, hit me up down below. I got some Facebook, I got some Instagram. I will be on them these days. I know I was not on them previously, but things had to happen beyond the internet. All right. Love. Peace.